All right, let's talk about a time in history when one single idea, just one, was so powerful it literally changed everything about how we see the world. We're diving into what's known as the Age of Reason. So imagine this. You've got two ways of looking at the world. On one hand, you could just accept what you're told, what the king says, what superstitions claim, what people have believed for ages. Or you could use your own mind, your own logic, and look for actual evidence to figure things out for yourself. It sounds simple, right? But that choice is what kicked off a massive revolution in thinking. You have to remember, for centuries, the world was, well, it was explained by myths and magic. Seriously, if a plague broke out, people didn't think about germs. If a huge storm rolled in, it wasn't about weather patterns. It was seen as, the will of the gods or some unseen force. But that was all about to change because a new, much more powerful tool was on the horizon. So what was this incredible, game-changing tool? Was it a new invention? Some kind of super weapon? Nope. It was something everybody already had: the human mind. And here's the big, revolutionary idea. And it was truly revolutionary at the time. Every single person, including you, has the power to think for themselves. You don't need some king or a priest to hand you the answers. You've got everything you need right here to observe, to analyze, and to figure things out on your own. And this incredible superpower, it has a name: reason. So what is it? Simply put, it's the power of your mind to think things through logically, to understand tricky problems, and to make judgments based on actual facts and logic, not just because of fear or old stories. This became the new motto, basically. The new mindset was question everything. All of a sudden, it wasn't just okay to challenge old ideas. It was the smart thing to do. An idea wasn't true just because it had been around for a long time. Now it had to be proven. Okay, so once people were armed with this amazing tool of reason, they started aiming it at the biggest puzzle they could think of: the universe itself. So how did this new superpower actually work? I mean, what did people do? It wasn't just about sitting around and having deep thoughts. It was about creating a real system, a process for figuring out how the world really works. Well, for starters, these thinkers began to see the universe in a totally new light. It wasn't some chaotic, magical place anymore. Instead, they pictured it as a huge, perfectly designed machine, kind of like a giant, intricate clock. And hey, if it's a machine, that means it has to follow rules, right? Predictable, understandable rules. And they gave those rules a name: natural laws. And their system for finding these laws, you've definitely heard of it. It's the scientific method. It's a really simple but powerful process. First, you observe something. Then you ask a question about it. Step 3, you run an experiment to test your idea. And finally, you draw a conclusion based only on what the evidence tells you. That's it. This disciplined way of thinking totally changed science forever. Now, this whole process is fueled by something called skepticism. And skepticism isn't about just being negative or cynical. It just means you don't automatically believe something just because someone says so. You pause, you challenge it, and you demand solid proof. Think of it as the ultimate built-in fact-checker. All right, so after using reason to figure out the laws of the universe, these thinkers started to look a little closer to home. They began to wonder about the laws that run our own societies and governments. And this led them to a huge question, one that was impossible to ignore. If the entire universe runs on logical, predictable laws, why are our societies run by the random decisions of just one king or queen? I mean, shouldn't we have fair and logical rules for people too? This thinking gave birth to the powerful idea of natural rights. The concept is pretty simple, actually. It's the idea that you are born with certain basic freedoms, and no one, not a king, not a government, no one can take them away from you. We're talking about things like the freedom to speak your mind, the right to have your own beliefs, and the freedom to choose your own path in life. Now, you can probably guess this new way of thinking was a direct challenge to how things had been done for centuries. For ages, kings claimed they had a divine right to rule, that God himself had chosen them. Well, this new idea completely flipped that on its head. It said, no, a government's power doesn't come from God. It comes from the people. This whole setup is called the social contract. It's really just a big agreement, a deal between the people and their government. It goes like this.
We, the people, agree to follow the laws. In exchange, the government's main job is to protect our natural rights. And here's the kicker. If the government breaks its side of the deal, the people have the right to change it.
But maybe the most radical idea of them all, the one that really shocked people back then, was this. All people are created equal. It shouldn't matter if you're born rich or poor, into a royal family or a regular one. Every single person deserves a fair shot, a chance to learn, to work, and to build a good life. Okay, so this all sounds like cool history, right? But what does any of this have to do with your life today? Well, it turns out it has a lot to do with it, more than you probably think. Think about it. The scientific method you use in science class, yep, that came from the Age of Reason. The fact that you have the right to speak your mind and disagree with people, even powerful people, that's a natural right. Public schools, public libraries, places built on the idea that everyone deserves a shot at knowledge, that's a core value from this era. These ideas aren't just old stuff in a textbook. They're literally the foundation of the world you live in. And there's one last really important idea to touch on. Before this time, for a lot of people, life was just something you had to get through, to endure. But the Age of Reason helped bring in this brand new, amazing idea that being happy right here on Earth is a goal worth chasing. It's not selfish to want fulfillment in your life. Your happiness actually matters. So the big takeaway here is that none of this was obvious back then. Ideas like reason, rights, and equality, they had to be imagined, they had to be argued for, and sometimes even fought for, and they completely reshaped the world. So that leaves us with one final thought, a question for you. These ideas are over 300 years old. What's the next big idea? What's the idea that you and your generation are going to come up with that will change the world all over again?